Now, let's move on to the materials and the method, or as some will call it, methodology. So, here you must have a good grasp of your research design. So, you must present your research design. We have talked about research design before. It's the blueprint of what you want to do, how you're going to do your research. So, the methods and the procedure to be used in data collection, analysis of the variable must be specified at this point. So you are not supposed to be describing what is meant by research design. Tell us the research design you are using. Okay? Tell us why. Describe why or explain why you are going to use. So select what you're going to do, describe it, justify its use. Okay? It's very important. Tell us what you want to, the research design you're using, why, describe what it is, what that means, and justify why you're using it. So those are the things you are expected to discuss under the research design. Select, describe, justify. It seems as if I talked a lot about three things. I think it helps me to understand and remember things very clearly. When you pick research design, there are three things you need to do. Select the research design, describe the research design, justify its use. Then you move on to your study area. This is where you tell us which area are you going to focus on in terms of the attributes, the particular place of your study. Okay? So describe the attribute of the place, and remember, discuss attributes that are relevant for your topic. Don't just start talking about everything about the area. There are some things that are relevant, there are some things that are not relevant. If I give you an example, if I'm looking at doing something environmental related topic, then I must talk about the biophysical aspect of the area under study. If I'm looking at social or very human concepts or human related topic, okay, I will be discussing things that are very related to the human activities in that area. So it is important that when you are describing the study area, you describe the attributes that are relevant, because they put in context what you are studying. So when you also get to when you are discussing your work, it becomes easy to refer back to the context that you have described in the study area. Then you talk about this population of the study. At times it may not be applicable, but when you have to, when it's important, which means you're studying a particular group of people and you are going to take sample from them, so you must specify what is the population of your study. But if you are doing an experiment in the lab, then you might not necessarily have to say what is the population of the study. So it depends on the context. Okay, then you go on to sample and sampling technique. Once you have identified the population, then the next thing you want to select, you want to tell us how you are going to select this sample. What is the systematic way or the approach you are going to adopt in order to select the sample. So this is not correct here. It's a repetition here. This is not necessary. So you are going to tell us the sampling technique and the sample that you're going to select. Essentially, you must tell us why you are selecting this as a number of sample. Everything must be scientifically done. Okay? If you are not selecting representative sample, you must tell us why, and you must tell us which method are you going to adopt. Okay? So it is important to be clear about this. Remember, we're talking about the materials and the method. So what the way you're going to do the work must be clear for somebody reading your work, so that if they want to repeat that work, they should be able to do it without having to come and contact you before they can do that same work. So we move on to the nature and the sources of the data. What are the types of data you are going to collect? Is it going to be primary, which means you are measuring directly in the field, or is it going to be secondary data, which you are going to go to a particular place to collate it from, which means that's previously been collected, you are only collating it for use in your own work. So, methods of data collection. How are you going to collect data? If it is secondary, how are you going to go about it? If it is primary, how are you going to go about that too? So, you must highlight that. Then we move on to the method of data analysis. In order to achieve your objective and test the hypothesis, what will you do to the data? How are you going to analyze the data to test your hypothesis, or to be able to answer the questions you have posed? How will you handle the data in terms of analysis to be able to answer your questions? Then you should also have something on validity and reliability of the instrument. If it is applicable that you are using, let's say for example, you're using questionnaire, you must tell us about the validity and the reliability of the instrument. Validity, you're measuring instrument, you are trying to tell us the degree to which the scale measures what is expected to measure. So the instrument you're using, how well does it measure what is expected to measure? Okay, that is very important. You need to give us an idea about that. How did you check the validity? Okay, then we have the reliability. To which degree does the measurement produce consistent results? So you can use pre and post. So you administer it once and you come back a few weeks later, you administer it again and see whether the answers that people are giving you are consistent over time. So you always have to do this before you go to the field and do the final administration of the questionnaire. Validity, you can use experts to review what you have, the instrument that you have designed, to see whether to give you an assessment whether the instrument is fit for purpose. Will it be measuring what is expected to measure? Okay, so these are the concepts that you are components that you must address also in your materials and method. So reliability has to do also, another aspect of it is that if we pick an instrument, that instrument, when we use it, we should have confidence that when it is used again, we are going to have not a one-off finding. We should be able to repeat and find similar, not even though it might not be exactly, but it should be similar if the instrument was repeatedly used. So if you are using instrument to measure things like if you are using thermometer, if you are using, so you should be able to use it and make sure that the outcome are consistent over time. So it's important that you take note of the validity and the reliability of any instrument you're using to collect data.